Hey everyone, today we are talking about implementing AI or artificial intelligence in your business. So let's dive right in. The first step of implementing AI in your business is defining the objective. Why are you doing what you're doing? Is it to save money, generate money, making employees' job easier? Could be any objective, or it could even be increasing the valuation of your startup, right? But just don't do it for the hype just because you are doing it, right? The reason I'm telling that is you are using AI right now anyway. Like when you're watching videos, scrolling social media, using any kind of a B2B software product that you're using, they use AI under the hood. So you are using AI already. And if you use products like ChatGPT, that's pretty much you're using AI. However, if you see any unique reason in your business that AI can be implemented to add value, then that's a good objective. Right? So make sure that you have the objective and you're not just doing it for the hype. So that's the step number one. Before we go into step number two, let me introduce myself. I'm Nilan. I've been working on AI and software for more than a decade now. I'm a senior engineer at Intel. I used to be. Then I started Firehouse Technology, or FHTS, technology consulting company. We built a separate marketing technology startup that is valued at $14 million. I was awarded South Australia's 40 under 40 and also a nominee for the Young Entrepreneur of the Year in Australia. That's a quick introduction to establish some credibility with you guys. And the second step, right, once you have the objective in implementing AI, the second step is establish a timeline and a budget. So you have objective, this is what you're going to achieve in your business. Now, how much am I willing to spend on it? And how much time it could take, like how soon do I need the results? So this could be like you are only willing to spend $20 per month and you need the results immediately, or you are willing to spend maybe like 1 year and your budget is $1 million. This could vary in anywhere between or maybe more, but that depends on your objective, right? So why did I say 1 year, not maybe 3 to 5 years? The rate of AI and the technology changing very fast. In my opinion, I don't think you should create technology plans for 3 to 5 years. Maybe 2 years at most, because things are moving fast. So you need to be agile enough to adapt as soon as the technology is changed, right? So let's say now you have objective, your timeline and your budget, and we go to the next point. Are we building a software or are we buying established software? Right? We call these softwares off-the-shelf software. You just buy it and use it, right? So the most common type of off-the-shelf software is now we call SaaS, or software as a service, right? This is like YouTube, Facebook, or the best example is Netflix, where you just go to a website or download an app, create an account, add your credit card, and start using it, right? So those are B2C SaaS businesses, but there's a lot of B2B SaaS businesses as well. So there are a lot of products that could help you. So rather than developing on your own, you can pay maybe $20, $50, $100 per month, maybe per user, and then start using these softwares very quickly and in a very economical rate, right? So how do I find these kind of software? So there are so many directories that you can use to do this, and I will include some in the description and also maybe somewhere in this video as well. And so once you find some good SaaS products, right, going through some of these directories I have showed you, you could first contact them and ask for a demo, right? Building SaaS products are not that hard. So there are a lot of products that have been abandoned or there's no support. So you have to be careful. You have to look at the reviews really carefully before you select. Once you select some products, that you look at the listing, the requirement of these softwares, and okay, this could help me. And then you ask for a quick demo from their sales team. And there's no reply and they don't want to give you a demo. That means maybe the support is not that great. So if they are not trying to sell you or like use their time in sales, they will definitely not help you after you purchase, right? So it's a red flag. Avoid those kind of products, right? But even when you select something after a demo and you're happy with it, try to get a free trial, maybe for 1 month, 2 months, so you can actually test the platform before you start paying. And if there is no free trial, you can at least ask for a money back guarantee, that if you don't like it after 2 months, they will pay you the money. And that is also not possible and you really need this software, you can also go for monthly payment plan rather than quarterly or annually. So after a few months, you can just break it. And if you like the software, they will happily upgrade you to an annual plan for a cheaper rate at a future date, right? So this is a pretty cool way to do it. And if you find a good SaaS product that will work for your business, it's very easy to use. And most of these things have good documentation, and some good ones have good support and easy to understand user interfaces. And they are targeted to very niche products. So it's highly likely your team can adapt and start using them. But what is the disadvantage of something like this? If your product, if your idea is complicated, if your organization is complicated, and if you really like a product and you need additional 3 features, so you are actually in the hands of the developers of that SaaS product to build these custom features for you. If they don't build it, then you're out of luck. So that's why some companies decide to go for the custom building route. If you are deciding to go to the custom building route because you can't find all the features that you need for your organization, then we go to the next step. Finding a software development agency or software consulting firm or dev house. People call these different names, but what they do is they come in, they look at your business, your requirement, and then they build the software for you, right? They have software engineers with them and other data scientists and other roles. So they can do that for you, right? There are so many of these out there and in all over the world. So you can use anyone in all the world, but you have to be very careful because once you select the agency, it's hard to go back. You need to use one that you can trust and that can deliver, right? When you are doing this research for software development agencies, use your network, right? Ask around that what works for other people. If you have your colleagues who works in other businesses who develop the software and they like the agency, yeah, that's a good start. And look at the testimonials of these agencies, awards they have won, years of experience, how many years of operation they have been in, what is their domain expertise, right? And because some agencies experts in one domain, not the other, right? So pick the one that works for you. Once you pick maybe few, you can ask for quotes, right? So you can just let them know what you need and then ask them to give you a quote. However, if they just come back with a number and a timeline, that might be a red flag because the software is a little complicated than any other product. Most of the time, even you don't know exactly what you want. You have a general idea, right? You have a general idea on this is what my software is going to look like and this is how it's going to add value to my company. However, the actual requirement, actual how to develop and what to develop come across once you start talking with the developers, and out of that conversation, the real requirements emerge. That's how it works. So at least the agency should have 1 or 2 conversations with you, and that's a commitment from your end as well, to give them the information they need so they can come up with a ballpark figure on how much it's going to cost. Right? So that's one thing. And there are more things to consider. I'll come later and maybe there'll be a separate video on that. And the other thing is like you might have to look at other non-measurable things as well. Like, how quickly they come back in the sales process. Do they keep their word from the beginning? Right? And once you join a call with few of their guys, how does the internal politics look like? That's gut feelings, right? Do they just say yes to everything just to get your business? Right? Do they come back with suggestions like good ones that you didn't know? Are they adding value from the beginning? So evaluate them, like when you're looking at few people, like listen to your gut feeling as well if all the previous criteria have been met. And this is one of the main things that I would suggest from my years of experience. Find an agency that wants the results for you more than you. It's a very hard thing to do because agency in the short-term view wants to like develop something, charge you as much as possible and get out of it. But an agency who has a long-term view understand the software development is a partnership because it evolves all the time. The software development agency and you need to be partners, and going forward, they should manage the software and improve the software. So if they understand it's a long-term goal, they have every intention. Their goal should be to make you successful so they can become successful. So if you feel like they are not looking at it at the same way, they are just here to make a quick buck, maybe that's a red flag. So you should avoid them. Right. So once you select your agency, the next phase is we call discovery phase. Right. So now we are doing a deep dive into what you need from your software. So, and what are you trying to do? Looking at your objective, current process of the system, what we call it the as is process, and then we design what we call a to be process, the future process, how the organization would look like after the software is implemented. So this could take few months, right? So if your software, the quotation based on your requirement is a large one, like $500,000, million and upwards, I would recommend doing a separate discovery phase. It could cost you 10, 20, 30 grand, but that is highly recommended. You do a separate discovery, paid discovery. So the agency can create something called a SRS, or software requirement specification, right? What that does is that creates to a very to a higher degree of certainty. It says that this is what your software will do, and this is how it will look like, the processes, sometimes the user interfaces, and how it all works. So once you do that, you understand the complexity of it, and also the software agency understand the complexity of it, and they might come back with a different quote, right? They might be lower, most probably it will be higher, right? So when that quote comes, and if it is like $5 million and that's not in your budget, you know that you have to look at other options. It is much better than just jumping in, and most software projects go over the budget, most of them, 70% of them, right? So, and over time. So understanding it earlier and spending that money is kind of worth it. And also once that software agency create that discovery, paid discovery, the document is owned by you. You can then go to maybe other agencies and ask for different quotes, and those quotes will be more realistic, right? Because now there's a deep dive done, right? What you need to understand is these agencies should do what we call agile development, right? So that means based on when they develop, okay, you should be able to suggest new features or change what was planned, and they should be adaptable and implement those changes. If they can't do that, that's a problem. Because in software engineering, as I said, once you start developing, once you start discussing, the new requirements emerge, right? So it's very important that the agency you select support that, right? The SRS, or the software requirement specification that comes out of the discovery phase, might not be 100% accurate, but if it's 80% there, then that's a good point to be for you to start. Once the discovery is done, or maybe before, depends on how you are planning to work, then you will have a contract. And what should be in the contract, we'll do a separate video on that. But basically, there should be a clear payment plan, warranties. Is there a dedicated team or is there a shared team, right? Do they do agile development? How are the new changes got to be adapted? Like we call it a CR, or change request process. And are you locked into any software, right? That only that agency uses, so you can't make any changes in the future. Those are the kind of things that you should look into to like any contract with any supplier. Right. So once you have the contract, I think then your development process will go on. The agency should guide you on how it works. My next point is that what your commitments are. You should be ready that your time is required from the agency to ask questions and to build the software that you need. So you need to give feedback. So if you are a slightly larger business, you need to appoint a point of contact, or we call it POC. This person should be in the middle to senior level management, because they have to talk to everyone else in the organization and go to the agency with a unified view on what your business needs, right? So the agency should actually facilitate those conversations, right, between multiple stakeholders, but the agency should get the requirement, finalized requirement from one place. Otherwise, it's going to be very chaotic, right? So that point of contact might have to talk to the agency maybe 2 to 3 times a week. Because in software development, you have to make a lot of micro decisions on like, where should this come from? Like, is this interface look good? Should we have a button here or not there? Sometimes those decisions can be left out for the agency, but some decisions needs to be taken by your side as the organization. So it's important that point of contact frequently interact with the development team, but as the senior leadership or the owner of the business, you might have to join a call once a month or once every other month to make sure that strategically the software development progress is going in the direction that you want. And if you make any changes, then you can do it there. And the next step is once the development is done or halfway done, you have to evaluate the results. Otherwise, what's the point, right? So if your objective in the beginning, when you're defining it, was to improve the efficiency of your employees or your customer support agents, right? Let's say they were doing 30 support tickets per day. You wanted to increase the efficiency so they can support 60 tickets a day, right? So then you need to evaluate, has that happened? Or are we in the right track to make that happen, right? So that evaluation criteria or KPIs are very important. And the last thing I would bring up is the maintenance agreements. So because software is never done, like you always need new features, and there's adaptability, and then some of the underlying software that were used to develop your software could expire. So you need to keep updating it. So there's some kind of a support agreement is required. That maintenance agreement should be something that your organization can afford, and it should be in good faith on both parties. So make sure that that is in place as well. So you are not using the software and you are not getting any support, right? So that's the same as using a SaaS product and not getting any support, right? What's the point? So make sure that the agency is reputable and they give that support. So I think those are the main points that you need to consider in implementing software, especially artificial intelligence software in your business. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments and I'll make sure I answer each of them. And yeah, I'll break down some of these points to other further videos and we'll do a deep dive. Thank you so much for listening. See you next time.